welcome to At This Moment, the podcast where we talk about what's going on in the world this week. As always, I'm joined by my good friend Sandro, currently in the beautiful Alexandria, Virginia. How are you doing, Sandro?
I'm good, man. I'm good. A little riled up, though.
Oh, yeah? Why is that, dude?
Well, I'm worried about what's happening with Serbian soccer.
Hey, man, as a proud Serb yourself, what is going on, man? Give us the lowdown, dude. What have you been seeing that's happened over this last week, just so people are filled in?
Well, basically, I mean, if you look at it like on a bigger scale, it's pretty interesting because I think what's happening in the Serbian Football Federation mirrors what's happening in the country, which is, you have a group of people kind of sucking the country dry. Soccer or football is a huge resource in Serbia. I think that Serbia exports young players on par with countries like Brazil, Argentina, like big superpowers, right, when it comes to the sport. And yet,
without a doubt.
And yet, if you take out the success of the Red Star football team, the biggest team in Serbia, some people say even a country within a country of Serbia, it's so popular, it's so powerful. The Serbian national team and has no success whatsoever. I mean, it's languishing on par with countries like Romania, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Northern Ireland, where they're hoping not to have, when they dream and when they set goals, their goals to simply go to a tournament, not win a tournament. And when you look at, just two countries over, Croatia is playing in World Cup finals. So I think these issues have bubbled to the surface, and I just wanted to get your take, see what you think about it.
Hey, man. Well, I'm a lifelong follower of the Serbian national team, right? And been through the downs and downs and downs. I think there was like two ups in my whole 20 years of following the national team. One of them being beating Germany in the World Cup.
Hey,
Shout out to Antic. What's up?
If you look at that, do you think this is rock bottom?
No, I don't think it's rock bottom just because there's been so many other rock bottoms, dude. Like
what?
Like losing to Ukraine 5-0 and getting embarrassed. Yes, exactly. So that was just the most recent one, right?
So when I say rock bottom, I mean like this current state, like this year perhaps, or like this version of the Serbian national team. Do you think that this is rock bottom?
Not yet. I actually think that this what we're seeing right now. Yeah, well, it definitely can get worse.
Competing with Andorra.
Let's not kid ourselves, dude. Yeah, exactly, dude. Exactly. But I actually think what's happening right now is healthy with all the players coming out. And now it seems like there's a movement of players, coaches, even current players and ex-players coming out and speaking and saying basically what needs to be said about the federation.
And that is?
That it's corrupt and that the people who are there have no business being there. They have no credentials. They have no footballing credentials. Why do we have these people in power? And that these people are making money off the players, and for the players it matters who your manager is and how much time you get to play for the national team in the hopes that you'll be sold so that the crooks in the FA could make money off of you.
Now, obviously, I mean, I don't think you have any inside information as to how the Serbian Federation works. But if you had to make a guess, based on the players that appear on the bench, based on the players that appear on the U21 team, do you think there are instances of managers or players or whoever paying the federation to put certain people on a national team?
I mean, I would say it's gotten a lot better in the last couple of years. This was definitely a problem before. We were like, what the hell is that guy doing there? I mean, now when you're looking at who is starting the games, let's say, for Serbia, the starting 11, it's always players who should be starting more or less. Minus one or two that's debatable in the position, but more or less it's who should be starting. There's not some unknown coming in and being like, who the hell does this guy play for and who is he? So it's definitely gotten better.
But there were instances of that in the past?
Well, yeah, man.
Where
I mean,
just
think
blatant.
of I can't even. The people are so
random.
Random, yeah. That I don't even know. I couldn't even bring up an example. But you do remember that Ilya Petkovic brought up his son, called up his son. Remember, to the World Cup, and we're like, what the fuck is going on here? Basically shit like that. But Sambro, as somewhat of an outsider yourself, looking in, what are you seeing that's happening right there? And what's your take on like what Vidic said and kind of the backing that he's getting from some notable names?
Most notably, like Matic backed him, right? Nemanja Matic wrote out that public statement on Instagram.
Yes.
Kind of criticizing. So 2 things. What Nemanja Matic mentioned in that post, where he mentioned he kind of looked at, and I guess that's kind of what we're trying to do here as well, is to look at like how does a successful football federation function, and then how does a Serbian one function, and was a discrepancy. And he kind of pointed to the fact that, as you mentioned, let's say Croatians, but he also mentioned Montenegro. They have like people who know football, people who are from football leading their federation, right? And he mentioned Savicevic and he mentioned Davor Šuker. First of all, I didn't know that Davor Šuker was voted as the best striker in Europe at any point in his career, because I feel like there have been plenty of conversations where I've trashed that man. Turns out I was wrong. Yeah. Turns out Davor Šuker was a damn good player. I did not know that. I thought he was a bench rider at Real Madrid, but who knew? Well, I guess a lot of people knew. But I see the point that he's trying to make. And look, I'm not saying that. I also do see a benefit of having somebody, let's say if you're a successful businessman, right? If you come and you have, just because you know how to play soccer and just because you played soccer at an elite level doesn't mean you know how to lead like a federation, man, right? Where you're dealing with like youth football, you're dealing with state, you're dealing with much more than just like image or calling people up, right? You have to have like abilities beyond football.
Right.
Okay.
Right. But let me jump in there before you go any further, though, Sandro. You're right, but at the same time, like the kind of like your argument is just because you're a notable soccer player doesn't mean you know how to run a federation,
yes.
Right?
And that isn't the only solution to Serbia's problems, is having football people in the federation.
No, not at all. But I think what he's saying is like at least these people are worthy of being there instead of goat herders that we have at the freaking Serbian FA, dude. So I think that was his point. It's like, who the hell are these people? What do they know about football in the first place? They've never been around it. They just kind of got appointed to this position, and now they're running the whole system in the country.
Well, who appoints them? Who appoints them? How like is it chosen by? Do you think that
I do believe it's a political appointment for sure.
Well, then there's your problem, and I think that ties in with what I said earlier. I think the mentality that exists in the Serbian Federation is a mentality that exists in Serbia in general, which is, I am sitting in this armchair now. I am in charge for now. I need to grab as much as I can before I am not in charge. And I need to secure my future.
Bingo.
And I think that makes the people much more susceptible. Well, first of all, I think it's, look, if we're going to compare, so if we're going to look at his kind of, when he talked about Šuker and when he talked about Savicevic, the Croatian Football Federation, they've certainly had a ton of success, right? Like unbelievable success. But corruption is rampant in Croatian football. The Croatian league is a joke because of that.
Right. Yes.
They dealt with Zdravko Mamić. They dealt with all those issues. So, you could argue that all of these issues, particularly the aspect of corruption, is really a cultural regional issue because the Bosnian Federation functions the exact same way. And when we use those examples of like random players playing for the national team, where you're like, you've only played once or twice and never played again. In Bosnia, for a long, long time, that was a very common occurrence where a player would get called up for 2 or 3 games. He would be playing for some lower league, let's say Russian team. He would be sold to a mid-level Belgian team, and he would never get called up again. But what I did find kind of odd with the so Nemanja Vidic came out. He brought this issue up saying like our football federation is in trouble, our soccer is in trouble, we're having all these issues. And now Nemanja Matic is pushing him. To me, it looked in a way that it was a power move. It was a move by Vidic to saying like, I'm going to cause this commotion and I'm going to be presented as a solution to this problem. Right?
Yes, I agree. Okay. Agreed. It is coordinated for sure. You can just tell by the way that they,
the thing is this, the results for the Serbian national team have been bad enough, certainly for the quality of the team, even for the quality of the league. It's not a great league in the world, but there is at least 1 or 2 participants, if not in Champions League, then in Europa League consistently. So it's pretty solid. The Serbian national team does underachieve, but
Big time.
I am not optimistic about any forthcoming changes. anything is going to happen in the future, because I think the Football Federation is political. I think football is extremely political in Serbia for the reason that if you look at Red Star and Partizan Belgrade, their supporters are proper armies. That's a huge, it's a tool almost, right? For the political parties, because I think the political parties,
without a doubt, and they've utilized them before.
Yes, I mean, even if you look at the wars in the '90s, the paramilitaries, there's a ton of history that where that's chronicled, if you will,
right?
That relationship. I don't think that politics will leave Serbian football, and I don't think that this movement will yield any results. Until
you don't think so,
until deeper changes are even if they do, even if Vidic gets this position, and even if the Serbian Football Federation is cleaned up, I think the changes will be short term. Eventually, once they get some success, Vidic or whoever else will be phased out. I mean, let's make this a little bit more concrete. This is a football federation that fired a coach who qualified for a tournament.
Yeah, 100%. Not just any tournament, but the World Cup out of Europe.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Quite possibly the hardest. Yeah.
Exactly. And they fired him after he qualified on his way to the tournament. So
yes, and why? Why did they fire him? Because he wouldn't play Sergej Milinkovic-Savic or call him up. That was why.
But he is a great player, though. But still.
Yes, I agree, dude. I agree. But obviously there's something going on there. Just why? Because you didn't call one player, and then if you noticed after Krstajic was put in. And he brought in Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, which was the first thing he did. It was call him up. SMS was not good for the team. It took him quite a while to get good for Serbia, and I think that's what Muslin saw when he didn't call him up. He's like, "It's going to disturb what we have going on here." Of course. But regardless, he was fired, man. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Do you think that there will be change coming forth?
I don't know. I don't, man. It's Serbia, so I'm just not even gonna predict anything, dude. But what I will say is I'm hopeful that something will come of it. Look, if the choice between the head of the Serbian FA is the weasel-looking Kokeza or Nemanja Vidic, of course I'm gonna take Vidic, a legend of the game, not just in Serbia but in Man United and England. You know what I mean? Like a real world-class player. You can say that.
You can argue that perhaps the best center back of his generation. You could make that argument.
Yeah, exactly. He's definitely in the conversation, right? So who would I want to have leading the FA? Of course I want Vidic, and he's also a man of principle. He's never in the headlines for the wrong reasons or anything like that. He's done a lot of good charity work and everything like that. I don't think money for him will be an issue. For these other people, obviously money is the motive. I don't think for him money is the motive. So that's why I would want that to happen.
If he did make it to the position, one of the first things that when I think of Nemanja Vidic, the story that pops into my head all the time is when Sir Alex Ferguson, I think he put it in his book, he talked about how after a season where Nemanja Vidic performed really well, maybe he was even voted the best player in the Premier League. He showed up to the preseason. And he said, I might be leaving. And Sir Alex Ferguson was like, what are you talking about? And he was like, Kosovo. There might be a war in Kosovo, and I'm going to leave. And he was like, man, he was such a proud Serb that he was willing to, give up Manchester United, millions of pounds, success, notoriety, all of this, just to go fight in Kosovo. It's a Serb right
What a
there.
legend, dude. I didn't know that story, but what a legend, dude.
Yeah, man. I'm pretty sure it was in Sir Alex Ferguson's book. But anyway, I'm confident the story is true.
Hey, Sandro, that's a man that I want to be leading the Serbian Football Federation. Goddamn, dude.
But yeah,
it's fucking awesome.
Because here's the issue that you kind of come across, I think, in these instances and in these types of systems, is that the people who are in charge now, if Nemanja Vidic comes in and everything is done according to the law or whatever, everything is done properly.
Yes.
The whole organization functions. The fact that the previous people were, let's call it stealing or doing things that aren't, exactly kosher, is going to come to the surface. And I don't think that is going to be allowed. I think that crime and corruption, especially in Serbian football, which is so profitable, extremely profitable, is so rampant and so intertwined with the political scene. I think there's too much support for what the structure is now.
You definitely could be right, man. Where it's too rigid to move, basically, right?
Yeah, because I think it speaks volume that Red Star and look, Red Star and Partizan, are are very profitable, large institutions. If Serbia has in the time since Serbia has like moved, from communism or socialism when it was in Yugoslavia, moved to the modern capitalist system. If any institution or company was a candidate for privatization and would have plenty of bids from investors on a worldwide scale, it would be Red Star and it would be Partizan Belgrade, right?
Yes.
None of those have been privatized. And I think there's a reason they haven't been privatized.
Right.
Is that nobody wants to get rid of the goose or the geese that lay the golden eggs. And I think that points to, where the problem is that these people don't care that these institutions would be better and healthier in the hands of an investor who's pouring money in, who obviously was going to be taking resources out, like Roman Abramovich at Chelsea, but certainly putting a lot of effort and money and expertise in, because it's better to keep them state owned, where things get a little murky, and different managers, different whoever can take their share.
I mean, look, man. There's no doubt that's the case. However, I think people also need to be looking at the bigger picture here, which is if you can get the Serbian national team to play to its potential and the skill that they have on that team, play up to that potential, everything else is gonna follow suit. A rising tide lifts all boats type of thing, right? So it's like even Zvezda and Partizan and those schools will sell more players, selling for a higher price now because that's where the talent is coming from for the national team.
Yeah, I mean it could be, but without a thorough change of the system, I don't think the results will be long lasting. Either you have to, if you're going to maintain this type of system, then you have to look to Croatia, where all of the resources are pulled into one team, Dinamo Zagreb. All rivals are eliminated. Dinamo Zagreb invests in youth. That youth plays in Champions League, and the national team benefits. But it's still corrupt.
Of course, but why do you need to have a single entity? Why can't you have two, maybe even three teams that feed into the national team?
Because I think that dilutes it. I think
dilutes what?
The talent, the quality. There's too much competition. There's too much bickering.
No, I think you're looking at it. I don't think you're looking at it the right way, dude. I mean, wouldn't more quality players produce better quality players if you have more quality teams?
I would point to this. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's been a long-running issue where fans in Serbia have complained that Red Star gets its players pushed into the national team more than Partizan. That more games are played at the Red Star Stadium than Partizan.
Okay.
I think that's because Red Star has greater political backing. And some people in the political scene, like Ivica Dačić, for example, right? He's a big Partizan fan. But like Vučić is Red Star. And I think the reason that Red Star has done so well in the last couple of years is because he's been the president, and I think resources have been diverted to Red Star. Versus in Croatia, that competition doesn't exist, and the resources that are diverted to Dinamo Zagreb.
Okay, perhaps,
yeah.
Man, but I also don't want to be comparing, corruption to corruption, basically. And it's like which is the better form of corruption here? Which way should we go down? I don't know, man. I just think the whole country as a whole, as a whole will benefit significantly from a vibrant Serbian national team. How can we make that happen? Well, let's get the weasels and the crooks out of there and put in people with actual credentials that should be leading that organization. I think that's a great step one. And then let's see what happens. Give them some time to work, and let's see what happens. Like right now, nobody wants to coach Serbia, man. Nobody wants to coach Serbia because of the people that are in power in the FA. And it's like when the people in the FA are arguing with Antic, for example, about paying him too much, even though they're the ones who signed the damn contract. Like, why the hell would anybody want to come coach? Or when you fire your coach that got you to the World Cup, why the hell would anybody want to take that chance?
Do you consider Antic the most high-profile Serbian coach
that we've had in the last 20 years?
That they've had since they stopped being Serbia and Montenegro.
Oh, easily. 100% easily. I was actually surprised that he even took the job, dude. That's how high profile he was.
Who was that? Is it Javier? Was it Clemenza? What was that
Clemente.
Guy? Clemente. He was a pretty notable coach, right?
Or not really? He was, but I mean, I guess he was. I had not heard of him. I guess he was. It was a big deal when they hired him. Let's put it that way. And then he got like third or fourth place. And then he was like, "What did I do wrong?" I'm like, "Bro, we're trying to qualify, dude. I don't know how to tell you."
So, do you think that the quality of coaches obviously has gone down because of the FA? Because the FA isn't able to, like, people don't want a proper, let's say, like Mancini wouldn't want to work with the Serbian FA.
No, yeah, I'll do it 100%. There's no way we get anybody close to Mancini or any other notable international coach, dude. Like, they know how corrupt that stuff is. I mean, just look at right now, man. We have Tumbakovic, right?
He was at Partizan before, right?
Well, he was in Montenegro, remember?
Oh, yeah, and he refused to play against Kosovo,
at a convenient time, right?
And then he
got hired by the FA. I mean, I'm sure it was all planned out. You know what I mean? And then, I mean, dude, we just had in our last World Cup, we had Krstajic, who had never coached anything before.
Yeah, but that happens a lot. Where like you hire a legend because Krstajic was, a captain.
But he's not even a legend. He doesn't have legend status, dude.
I don't know, man. He was just
he was like a solid. He was a solid defender who played for Schalke.
Yeah, but he played for them for a long time. He was a captain there. I don't know. To me, he wasn't a nobody. Although he looks like he's about to be hired as the Bosnian national team coach very soon. So,
hey, man, good luck, dude. That's all I gotta say on that one.
Yeah, we'll see. So, you see the future as being bright for Serbian football?
No, man, I don't know. I'm like looking into it, and it's just straight darkness, bro. Because I don't know what the hell is gonna happen, man. But like, I'm just happy that people are actually talking about this and notable people, and it's not like just, people on chat forums.
Has this topic been brought up before? Because I feel like it has.
The topic of corruption in the Serbian FA.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man.
Because who was the president of the Serbian FA before? He got forced out. Karadzic. Because there was always talk about him. Even his elections were questioned. Am I wrong?
Yes. Yeah. No, you're 100% right, dude.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, man. Like, I know I joke about this, but just look at the picture of Karadzic. Like, look at his demeanor, man. Like, the man is a straight crook. He looks like
he looks like it. Yeah. No, I agree with you.
And then Kokeza right now, or Kokeja, I don't even know his real last name. Fucking looks like a straight weasel, man. Like if you were to put a face of a weasel with a human, that's how it looked like, dude. It would look like him. And these are the type of people that we're hiring to manage the federation, dude. Unbelievable.
Do you think that after this qualifying cycle, Serbia is about to enter into a phase of like rebuilding their squad, or do you think that whatever is there has the firepower to attempt to qualify for another tournament 2 years time?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, without a doubt. Like, this team is pretty young, actually. I think the average age of the team is like 26 or something like that. So like, you've got two more qualifying cycles.
Kolarov. Who else?
Kolarov, who's retiring.
Yeah.
Right. Tadic is getting up there. I think he's 31 now.
Milivojevic, does he still play?
No, not really.
From Crystal Palace?
Yeah, he doesn't really play. Oh, well, he got called up. He played a little bit, but he definitely doesn't have the same role where he was like the go-to, center
defensive
midfielder. Yeah. So yeah, man, those are kind of the biggest ones. Like, back line is relatively young. Milenkovic, I think, is only like 20, 21.
From Fiorentina?
Yeah.
Good player.
Yeah, dude. And so
good players coming through the U21 team?
Yeah, I mean, remember, you mean the team that won the World Cup?
Yeah, but they won it a while back.
Yeah. Oh, you mean right now, or
right
the good players
yeah.
come to the U21 team?
Yeah.
I actually have not been paying attention that closely to it, so I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
Because I only have enough nerves for the national team, dude. So watching the U21s, I might just have to commit suicide, dude.
Fair enough, man. Hey, at least you'll always have Serbian basketball, Serbian women's volleyball, a little bit of water polo, handball. All pretty solid.
Hey, man, I'm just waiting for the first Serbian UFC champion, dude. That's what I'm waiting for right now.
Well, I mean, there's a good chance, man. I think there's a solid contender, right?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, as a light heavyweight.
First of all, it's Rakic.
Oh, Rakic, yeah, my bad. Rakic is from Croatia.
Yeah. He has got a tough fight coming up, but we'll see what happens, dude.
I actually feel terrible about that mistake. That's an insult.
Hey, as you should.